Hello, hello, beautiful people, mi gente bella. Welcome to another edition of Santana Says, where we talk about everything from Roblox to relationships, everything in between, and the overall journey of life. I am excited, as always, to bring you another edition of the show, but also another wonderful guest. And we taking it back to the ladies, y'all. You know what I'm saying? You had your males. You will see them again. But now we are switching it up, but also it's just a great opportunity to be able to bring not only more awareness, but as you all know, I'm such a big supporter of all the community champions, the people's champs, if you will, and community advocates. And so I'm really, really pumped that we can do that today. And I will let y'all know before we start that the podcast actually brought me this relationship. So we actually met, secondly, because I'm not saying there was one way where we met before, but then we crossed paths again, through the podcast. So it can, it could connect y'all, amazing what technology can do and platforms can do for you. So all of those wonderful things. But with that being said, could you please, guest, let us know who you are, more about you, more about your story. Who are you?
Yes, I like that question because I'm very intentional on it. But I am Ashley B. Please don't forget the B-A. I said please. And I am the spiritual godmother in the hood. I'm a dope mother. I'm an author. I am the children's advocate in the hood, advocating for the inner child.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. And then I did see that. So specifically when you are on social media, you have the hood part, especially capitalized. Mm-hmm. Was that also intentional on your part?
It's definitely intentional. Just to let you know. Now, I love all children. Anytime I can, guide any child, I will definitely do that. But I do want to, again, like you said, put an emphasis. Mm-hmm. I am in the hood. So
let's go.
Yes.
Right.
So yes.
Just so y'all see it. Mm-hmm. That is not no clerical error. Appreciate that. Mm-hmm. And so where did that come from? What made you put all this together? It sounds really dope. First of all, and I also love that, like you said, dope mom, hello. You know what I'm saying? Please know that. Spiritual godmother, all of these wonderful accolades. But how did you acquire that and, become all of those great things?
It came along my journey. It started off with me being a mother, like I mentioned. And just again, going within the spiritual part, right. Knowing who I am so I can be helpful and guiding to you. So I'm still trying to figure it out. I'll just be honest with that. But as far as the spiritual godmother part, that's what we asking about?
Sure, yeah.
All right.
I'm mentioning about all of them, so we're going to start with that one.
Okay, so the spiritual godmother in the hood, over the years, I've learned that I'm very in tune. I'm very observant, and I can kind of feel. I do pick up energy like everybody else, but more so in the energy of understanding where a child is at mentally, emotionally, physically, and for the most part, what their purpose is. So that's where the spiritual godmother in the hood came from. It's kind of like the fairy godmother for Cinderella.
Oh, cute,
so
cute.
I show up when I need to.
Very good. Mm-hmm. But then that brings up an interesting point. So it sounds like intuitive, you know what I mean? You got this. Mm-hmm. And that's not something everybody has. Cause I remember even making jokes about spirits. I mean, which we shouldn't, but I'm just saying, I remember being younger and being like, I wish I felt something. I feel like I have no tapping to the other world. What I mean? I know it. Yeah. I kind of was salty about it. I was like, am I not open enough? Or I didn't know. So I remember being a kid being like, is there a requirement? Should I, is there something I'm not doing to have that gift? But I do think that regardless, though, there are people that possess that, and so it's definitely not something that everyone has. So
everybody has a superpower. Everybody's superpower is not the same. So some people are clairvoyant, clairaudient, where they can hear spirits, claircognizance, where they see things happening very soon. What's that? Yeah. What's the Raven show? Also her, right. Where she could see into the future. So it's different for everybody. For me personally, as a child, I didn't know. In my grown-up years, I can recall the times where I would speak to the planets and not know while I'm doing that. But at that time, no, I didn't know that I had special gifts. I wasn't taught that. It was something that I had to be reminded when I became older.
And then speaking of that, so what was your childhood like, for you? How was that?
No, a lot of things. Okay, so I was raised by a single mother. So I mean, I don't want to speak for everybody, but I feel like a lot of us know, I have 2 sisters on my mother's side and 1 on my dad's side. We all have different fathers, so just trying to paint a picture for you.
Yep.
My mother, we knew that she loved us, but emotionally she wasn't there.
Right.
So me growing up not, having that confidence or, just that them affirmations spoke to me to know who I was. Right. My mother was in the military, so we were raised by my grandparents. I don't know. A lot of my childhood is kind of like blank. Sometimes I confuse my dreams with my reality. So sometimes I have to sit back and reflect on that. Like, did that happen in a dream or did that really happen? We moved around a lot. I was born in Fort Stewart, Georgia. Again, my mother was in the military, so I'm an Army brat. Just moving here and there, going to different schools, feeling like a black sheep, not knowing I was a black sheep. Just feeling out of the norm. Everybody in my family, I feel like it was something different about me that didn't sit in with them. So, just going back to my childhood, that's what I can remember. It's just knowing I was different, but not knowing I was different, if that makes sense.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Or how you were different, too. Like,
yes.
Yes. No, I definitely feel you on that. And, as people have, those who have been following me as well, I brought my sister on who I met. That's on my dad's side.
Yes, I've seen it.
Yes. And we just met. So, it just keeps on unfolding, the different siblings and all that, because when you weren't raised, what I'm saying, with that. So, now I'm learning, more and all those things. So, I definitely feel you on the black sheep situation, is all I was saying, because that definitely sticks out to me. But I definitely think that I appreciate you also sharing about that whole brain situation and the reality, not knowing how to differentiate, because my main thing is that I still to this day am bothered by those memories that I cannot unlock. But I keep trying to reassure myself, though. I'm like, well, maybe you don't need them. I mean, you know what I mean? Obviously, if it was to the point where it is blocked out and you cannot retrieve a memory, there must be something to that. You know what I mean? You gotta know that. But for some reason, sometimes I'm just like, dang, but I just wish. And I actually met someone recently who apparently knew me back in high school, and they were telling me about things. The same thing happened there. I was like, wow, I don't know anything about what they're saying. Thankfully, I was nice to this person. So I had given them a ride somewhere, all these things. But when I told my friend about it, she was like, wow, there really is a lot about your childhood that you just don't know. And I'm like, no, I can't. I don't. And I think the dreams is interesting too, that you said that but you at least have those. So that's interesting. Have you always had very imaginative dreams then? Or yes.
Listen. Right. A lot of my dreams do make sense now. Even going back to the black sheep. And one thing I learned. Let me just go into this. So I remember in some of my dreams, had to be around 10, and this is too old to be doing this, but peeing in my sleep.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yep.
So that just knowing now that when you are peeing in your sleep. This okay to say?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's because you're holding in a lot of emotions.
Right. Okay.
So even now, if I have dreams, I'm an empath person, so I can pick up on other people's emotions and, their feelings. And I carry that with me. So a lot of times, I'm holding it. And even now, if I have a dream, I'm trying to go to the bathroom, but I can't release.
Yeah.
So that just let me know now, after doing my research, that it's just emotions that you are holding on to. So that let me know, when I was younger and I was doing that and not knowing why, is because I'm 9 times out of 10, I was holding on to emotions that wasn't good for me, even as a kid. So I don't know, somebody that definitely can help somebody. Maybe you peeing in the bed too, but that's something that I learned. It's a lot about the water, the emotions and feelings that's not serving you, that's trying to release. So
oh, yeah. They're definitely trying to find, a way out. And so, I definitely agree that, that's why I think we don't always we don't give enough credit to all those things, and how, a lot of illnesses that we can develop are also tied to our mental health. A lot of things, like you said, processes within our bodies. Yes, all of these things are definitely tied to our mental health. And so, if we keep saying that, we can't afford to, address our mental health, well, then, like I said, your body will respond in a different way. So, that's another reason why we, again, can't, disturb those things. But I do think, that is fascinating, because I actually know, I remember going to college too, or knowing somebody that was in college that was still doing that. So I'm not sure what was, what stress they were carrying too. But so it is true that there are some that unfortunately that does happen. But it is, it's usually tied. And I remember even and even with my daughters, I will say there's one especially too where remember we were struggling with that situation, and I do remember them saying it is mental though, like not only like mental things that they carry, but even people that like have to do it frequently, sometimes it's just a mental thing, thinking that you can't, so like it's just fascinating to me how many things our mind can do, you know what I mean? Yeah, and like all of that. So like I definitely think it's incredible that you have been able to like do that, but then as a result, like what kind of things are you able to do for others now that you are more aware of it, and
So my main purpose is to guide individuals to identify their purpose by knowledge of self and healing. Again, I advocate for the inner child. So we all have childhood trauma, and growing up, getting to that adult stage, a lot of our trauma follows us, and we don't know why. So it's therapy, guiding them. And I like to use the word guiding and not helping, because I don't believe you can help nobody. They can only help themselves, but you can guide them by being an example, showing them tools and leading the way. But taking them back to that root cause of why they feel the way they are feeling in their present relationships with they self, help them boost their self-esteem. Also, what I do, I'm into astrology, so I pull birth charts, the birth charts, and we can get into that if you want to, but the birth charts, and I do believe in it. It's with all the planets and teaching them that they're not just one sign. Like I'm January 4th, I'm a Capricorn, but I'm not just a Capricorn. I have all the astrology signs in my birth chart. It just depends on what house, and depending on what house is in, let you know your love language, how you think, how you act, how you react, and so on and so on. And this is where I was going to get to. My biggest goal is to help them again to identify their purpose. So just really kind of like letting them know, like, majority of the things that they enjoy doing when they were a child is 9 times the things they will enjoy doing as an adult. And a lot of times we take those things for granted because we just so used to doing it, or we don't have people pouring into us and letting us know, like, you'll be good at that, or you should do this, or not knowing the name of the, the career that they can go into to do that, or just trying it and trial and error and like, I don't like doing that. But 9 times out of 10, if you do something else, is connected to what that first idea was. So just helping them to identify things that they like so they can create their quality living a life is my biggest goal.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And definitely needed, like you said, because I think what was also interesting about what you shared is that, like, and you know what that's like to not have been seen yourself. Like, even as a child, like you mentioned, like, not everybody was present. And I mean, interesting too, I'm also happy to hear about the military piece. So like, it is interesting because we don't always hear that on the female side. You know what I mean? Of course, we hear a lot of males that go off to the military and like what that does, and it was interesting that one of our guests too talked about how, like, even that lifestyle, people that are in the military learn a lot of strict things that like make it hard to be emotional, So like, and I thought that was the first time that I remember thinking to myself, wow, I had never considered that and like what that does. But also in your case, like, it actually also led to you having to, be raised not even by your mom because she was busy, you know what I'm saying, doing all that. Right.
And just even going back to that, like, I still think to this day when I'm talking to my children or even my siblings, like, our mother wasn't around. Like, she wasn't like, so just, just recalling, why you feel a certain way, or that detachment, because that's connected to having, what is it called? Detachment issues. Just going back, like, dang, my grandparents did raise me, where my mother wasn't there. So just, just going back and really like journaling back to your younger years, it'll open up some Pandora boxes to help you, understand why you are going through the things you're going through and why you feeling. So,
Oh, yes. And I do know, I do love that you brought that up, because yes, that is something we have not touched on, attachment styles and what those look like on the show. But yes, agreed. I mean, the goal is to have a secure attachment, and to be able to know, and exactly have relationships with people, but you don't feel like your world ends when they're not around and things like that.
Codependency.
Yep, exactly. Because some people, they need somebody around all the time. You know what I mean? They got to be up under that person. Exactly. I love my space as well.
Yes.
So if I got with somebody that was, and they wanted to be around all the time, that's not going to work out because I need my space. But I so feel you on, that's exactly what informs that. You know what I mean? Like how you respond, like you said, in situations and things like that. And it is incredible to say that. So I do think that, like you said, it's, I'm glad you had your grandparents, you know what I mean? You were raising, like, you all had your experiences and how you did, but it is a big deal that, like, your parent, you know what I mean, was not there necessarily. And of course we know that it's not like she meant to. It's just, she did have something that took her away from y'all and all that. But at the same time, yes, that is a big realization. And whenever you have a parent that is not there, yes, that has an effect on you. One way or another. Has an effect on you.
And we was just talking about this outside. So that's interesting. And go ahead. I just lost my train of thought.
No, I feel it. But yes, but I do agree with you that as a parent and having dealt with, interesting parents, yes, that is going to make our experiences very unique in that way. But I definitely do hear you on. And so that's why I think too, with that being said, I do applaud you for even, having had that experience and now wanting to still get back to others now, you know what I mean? And so and I'm hearing filling in gaps, you know what I mean? And knowing what that felt like to have had a gap in your life. Right. And I love that you said about being seen. And so I love that you are saying that sometimes we just needed encouragement, because I do feel like as a kid that would have been nice. Like you said, even just trying, making a mistake, but having that supportive environment to do it in, really. And so honestly, for a lot, when I was a kid, I remember not trying a lot of things because I didn't have that. So I shied away from a lot of opportunities and things, and just being able to do stuff, and I really ended up doing that as an adult because when I finally got the supportive network that I really did need. So I mean, I definitely hear you on children kind of just need that, just that security, just to know that they can try things in a safe space and all that. And have you seen that come up for you with the work that you've done with the youth, and how has that?
Well, as being that, that catalyst to help them
identify.
Absolutely. Oh, yes. A lot of times the children be already knowing. Sometimes they don't. But they just don't know the opportunities that are presented for them to be able to do whatever they like. So I love doing that. I have I go into the schools, the Cleveland public schools, and I have my How to Dream with Ashley B. So I only did it 1 year, but I'm learning a lot that, again, the kids, they got the ideas, they know what they want to do. It's just, again, they just don't have the resources or the educators to teach them and bring out that 100%.
Right.
So
yeah, absolutely. And I definitely think, because it's definitely what we need to be able to do, with our children, be able to to mold that. And a lot of the experiences that you already mentioned are experiences that a lot of those kids are facing as well. So not being, being raised by, different individuals, not knowing exactly what their purpose may be. I feel like that's, like I said, that's always going to be a lifelong thing. But as a kid, it's definitely exacerbated. You really are, especially it's really hard to know. And honestly, I think if I met a kid and they already knew what they wanted to do as a young person, I think I would be a little bit shocked by that. Cause it's wow, I would be, a part of me would be impressed, but another part of me would be also intrigued by the fact that they seem to already know, without having tried, different things as well.
I love it, because it's about your creative genius. We all born with creative genius.
That's true.
We have 100% of creative genius, but we being taught by individuals that are operating from a low percentage. So, just even your family, the school you go to, or just your community is reducing it, because now they're conditioning you to follow line, or, in a systematic system, to be somebody that you're not, to help build a infrastructure. So they have it, they know it. Right. I love when I tap into with youth that already know. It hurts me when they don't know that they can do something with it, or we just don't have the available resources at that moment to, push them into. So, but they know.
No, absolutely. So yeah, and tapping into that wisdom is everything. Yes, because I agree. They definitely do. And no, they don't always get credited for that, but I also really appreciate what you're saying about there is a lot of situations that stifle. They really do stifle creativity. Unfortunately, it's not a natural part. I definitely have noticed that CMSD has changed with the different focuses that they put in the schools. And so my school, there's digital, arts that they can do, visual and things like that. But at the same time, that's not, it's still this extra thing that you got to do. It's not this natural part of the education. Unfortunately, a lot of times what you're taught, not just like you said, just with traditional jobs and with traditional schooling, is that how to be obedient, and follow those directions, instead of how to be independent, how to challenge, how to do that. You don't always get that naturally. So I agree. I think that when we can actually see them having that kind of critical thought and analysis, and also really know themselves in that way, it is a beautiful thing, to be able to bring that out further.
No, absolutely. I have a whole perception of the school system, so
yeah. Not necessarily a fan.
No, I'm not. Right. No.
But yeah, but you're also like, but speaking of that, you're definitely also a parent, because I know that also, like, we one of the ways that we had met in the past was I knew you as one of the parent of a student that I knew as well. And so like I was curious about that. So like as a mom too, I know that clearly you've been very intentional about things that you like to cultivate with the youth that you work with, with the other people that you guide, because I love the word guide, like you mentioned, and all that. But also as a parent, like, how has that journey even been?
It's not easy. There's definitely no manual. Every parent out there know there's no manual. Right. It is trial and error. And everything happens for a reason. But this is really, for me as a parent, it's like they helping me go back to my, my childlike energy. Just really like knowing they likes and they dislikes. Unlearning for myself things that I've been taught or went through as a kid, like as far as discipline and just how you raise your children and how you talk to them. Because the youth now, well, my children for sure, they're very outspoken. They'll let you know. And I do create that safe space where they can let me know, like, I ain't like how you said that earlier, or just explain it to me, like how we can make things different, or just things that they like, or or what they dislike. So me as a parent, I just try to, as best, remember the things that I didn't like growing up, being raised by my mother, and do it differently, be open, making it comfortable for them to express and share things. Like my children, they could tell me anything. Right. And so I just want to continue to keep that space. And then also, again, just really learn what they like to do, so I can put them in those areas where they can learn now, so they don't have to wait till they are ages to try to figure it out. And I homeschool my children too. So I homeschool 2 of them. My other child, he a Leo, so he got to be out and open. He's a people person, fire. So again, they got to move around. So I let him go to school. He has issues in school, but that's something that I'm gonna allow him to learn for himself, so he can really identify the things that he needs to learn at this present time. But yes, I homeschool my other 2 children, and it's working out. Mm-hmm.
Well, no, and can we shout out that? Because, Lord, during the pandemic, even that little temporary little homeschool was not the situation for me. Listen, I was like, listen, teachers, y'all gonna get all the salutes. Because, no, I was frustrated with the math. It was just different subjects in general, but that math was hard. And I realized I don't know how to break it down in a way. And then they're my kids, so I'm like, do you not get it? Like, I just wanted them to understand it, and I'm like, yeah, and it's clearly the way I needed to give the message better. So, yes, no, I definitely took some hits. Don't worry. I was like, that was you. Like,
that remind me of my mother. Like, and I grew up feeling like I was stupid because we have different learning ways. Right? Everybody learn different. So she'll be yelling at me, and I don't get the concept because I'm a visual learner, and she trying to tell me it's going in one ear and not the other. So that's one thing that I learned with children. They all learn different. And just even going back to homeschool, like when the kids were, at home, when the COVID situation, it was frustrating because that's not the things that they want to do. Homeschool is really like teaching them things that's going to be beneficial to them when they get older. Right. Not stuff like, I don't know about you, but the stuff that I learned in school, I don't use it now. Right. I mean, except for, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. But other than that, like,
order of operations.
No, that's really the only thing I can remember. But yeah, it's just really teaching them real life skills.
Absolutely.
So.
Oh man. But how do you, so I definitely want to, like I said, you get all the salutes as well. So as a teacher, because clearly that makes you a full-time instructor and, also mother, how do you balance, like, being able to do that and everything else you do?
So it just go back to learning self. So learning how my children operate. Like, let's just use my daughter, for example. If she was in school, she'll be going to the 11th grade. So she'll be in high school. And I just learned, like, when do you like to wake up? All right. That's when you're going to wake up. Like, structuring your life around what's conducive to you to be successful. If you wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning, then wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning. But if you don't wake up at 6 o'clock and you're more productive at waking up later and doing whatever you got to do, then that's when you need to wake up. So that time schedule, I'm totally against it. You don't have to be doing it all day. You can have one subject, and focus on that, and then just live your life. Again, teach them the basic skills, and get out. Like, these kids are inside a building. They need to be outside. They need to be exploring. I will say, like, shout out to my mother, because we did move around a lot, but I was able to go to Cleveland Public Schools. I was able to go to schools in Georgia. I was able to go to Shaker and Bedford, graduating from life skills. So I have a diverse way of looking at how different schools operate. But just the opportunity to go like to schools like Shaker, and that was back then, just learning how, like, I don't know, we just be in a box where we think certain people act a certain way, but when you be around them, that's not how they act. So, you know, that takes that perception out. So opening your minds. I feel like these children need to explore and experience maybe how other schools are, and the resources and the things that that's available to them. And maybe it will open up their minds that this is not normal. Like, these kids get to do all this. They have all this. And that's what I learned when I went from Cleveland to Shaker. It was that, like, dang, like, it was just a whole different environment. It was a whole different energy. So I just feel like it should be equal across the board. If the children are going to go to school, it shouldn't be based on where you live at. And they should all have the same opportunities. And I will also say, I feel like they should take out this obsolete structure, because it was based off of Jim Crow. So it has nothing to do, or it's nothing that's going to be, it's not going to bring no success for them in the future. Even now, like, as y'all know, like, nothing's the same. Everything is different. So I just feel like the schools, because I'm real big on education, teaching these babies what they really need to know so they can be successful.
Absolutely. I definitely, and I'm super glad you definitely brought all that up. But I agree that that's, you know, because that's what's been hard to walk away with, you know what I mean, are those practical skills. Because I agree that, like you mentioned, like, with that traditional model, you're not necessarily going to get that whatsoever. And I also do love, like you said, that in your case, you did get to see those different environments, because I agree. I definitely think that exposure is everything, because I also feel like I only saw what I saw. And then as soon as I was able to see more, I actually feel like the first time I really saw a lot of diversity was when I, like, did, you know, pursue. So, like, I haven't, you know, like, go to college and all that. But I was just salty that it took that long. Like, I was salty that I couldn't have seen, like, diversity before that, right? Or, like, been able to see all these different things, and, like you said, the different things that people are exposed to and what they see. But I definitely agree. And I also just think with the scheduling piece, I heard freedom. So I was like, oh, I would love.
Yes, I'm glad that you said that. No, I'm big on that freedom. Yes, so go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, of course. No, I'm glad. Yes, exactly. No, because that's what stood out to me. Like, as you were describing it, I was like, I mean, that's what's hard. That's what's hard about a lot of the things that we traditionally follow, is that you don't feel free. You don't. Not with the things that you're trying to do. Not when you're working for others. Not when you're in a late capitalist society. Not when you're doing all these things. And so, unfortunately, like, you being able to make your own choices and, like, do them in ways that you want, like, yes, that's it's hard, and it's not something that you're able to do. So, yeah, if you choose to do it, you literally got to be intentional about doing it, because there's aren't systems set up in place to let you just traditionally do that. So, yeah, you would have to be taking that stance. So I love hearing that, like, you're able to do that. And I was thinking to myself, I would love to be able to wake up when I want. You know what I mean? I've been able to do that a little bit. Yeah. Okay. I mean,
no,
true.
For real, you can. And that's what I teach my children. You can do whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
Like, get that out your head. Like, you just got to do it. Like, you got to believe and have faith that whatever you want, you know, you can do it and you can have. So that's something that I put a huge emphasis on, that just because they're not doing it, or they say that it's not cool, or they don't think that you can do it, that's not the case. What do you feel? What do you believe?
Absolutely.
And just do it. So.
And remove the limits, then, is also what I'm hearing. So, like, not have that.
Yes.
But I definitely agree. And here's the thing. What's interesting about that, so speaking of setting your own schedule, I know that you set your own schedule because you are also an entrepreneur in, like, so many ways.
Yeah.
And so, like, what has that entrepreneurial journey been?
It's been a struggle. Okay. But it's definitely rewarding. Again, freedom. I manifested it. And I didn't know what it looked like. I just wanted to not have to worry about going somewhere where I didn't want to go. I didn't want to be around people. I'm still working on that. That I don't want to be around, doing things that I don't want to do, and somebody telling me how to do something that I can do better than. You know what I'm saying? So, yes, I create my reality. So whatever I'm doing is what I asked for. So it's great for me.
Right.
It is. There are challenges, because there's nothing is going to be perfect or always, you know, glitter and gold. But it comes with it. So. Right. Just keep going is what I do.
Definitely. And has that entrepreneurial spirit rubbed off on your children?
It's it's in my blood. It was in my blood as a kid.
Right.
It's I think it's in their blood.
Okay.
So they always take action in what they want. So yeah.
Yeah, they gonna
It's
do
just
that.
natural.
Nice. And so, of course, I want to especially bring, because, I'm cheating, because there's at least one of your children that I do know. And so, like, I know, that they are digital artists. So, like, speaking of that, and, like, do things. And so, I think that's amazing that they, are able to do that. But also, apparently, they created something. So, I was wondering if you could tell the good people, you know what I mean? What's that about?
Oh, yeah. So this is one of our things that we created. So I'll check it out.
Yeah.
This is our children's book called Do What's That Smell? Again, by me, Ashley B. Please don't forget the B. Illustrated by my daughter, Ziki Pro. They can see that. It's a children's book that we thought of the idea when Makai, my youngest child, was born. It's dedicated to him. We wanted to create... Well, that was already on my, manifestation. It was something that I said I already wanted to do. I didn't know when it was going to happen, but that's when it came around. But we wanted to create books for children to have characters that they can resonate with and that they will want to read. I just remember growing up and reading all these books that the characters just simply didn't look like me, or it was words in the book like, how do you say this? So I just wanted something that it will make them want to read. So that's how Do What's That Smell came about. It's a very funny and engaging children's book. It's colorful. We got the words in here highlighted with all the different ways that you can describe something stinky. Where the camera at? Let me show y'all one of the illustrations. But it's a dope book. My daughter, Ziki Pro, you can go follow her on IG, Ziki Pro. She's the illustrator. She did this when she's 16 now. She started this when she was 10. So her artwork has definitely elevated, but yeah, partnership. It was just something that we had manifested and it came true.
All right.
So,
wow.
What's that smell?
Well, and then that part, so like, and for those who can't see, it is dope, so y'all gonna have to get it. Like, you know what I mean? So you can have the visual in your, but even that, like, so just to have that wow. Yeah, like, so it's super vivid, y'all. So I just want to describe it for people that can't.
Thank you.
Like, yes, it is, so we're talking about, like, really deep imagery, but also, like you said, the colors are phenomenal. So, like, that's definitely grabbing, like, my eye especially. And then it is cool. Like, it's also a cool story, but, like, even cool font. Like, everything down to the font is, like, endearing and all that. And, like, engaging, like you mentioned, and attractive, but it definitely very appealing. And I feel like it doesn't stop here. Haven't I seen that she also designs like flyers for you and different things?
She's usually the one who does my flyers. She do a lot of stuff. What was I about to say? She created our flyer for our event that's coming up. We also have some other books. She has a 21-day authentic journal, and she helped me design my 21-day inner child journal. So yeah.
No. See? And so then that's amazing. So I feel like, now that I haven't heard of, you know what I mean? I've definitely heard of, like, you would definitely want to incorporate your children into your business and, make sure at least that they know about it, you know what I mean? That they can know how to, like, create one and do all that. But I haven't even heard of, like, such a great partnership like this one. You know what I mean? Of course, I feel like if we were going to employ any skills of anyone, I would love for it to be my kids. You know what I'm saying? If I'm going to use anybody, they need to be on a payroll, So, like, I'm definitely going to want that. So, like, I think it's, like, amazing that, like, not only could you make that, book into a reality, and you have several, but that also, like, it's such a perfect blend, like perfect marriage there, that, like, she's able to create, the illustration for it and the visual, and then here you go with the story. So it's like, I think it's just awesome. Have y'all always had this really great? Like,
we just creative mind. We artists, so I mean, it just makes sense to me. I don't know. I'm overthinking it. Like, it's just something that we do. Like, she has an idea. Oh, mommy, let's do this. Like, all right, let's do it. I have an idea. She be down, so we just do it. So I feel like it's just us being artists. That's in our, DNA. Right. We made a dope rap together.
Okay, hold on.
Yeah,
Let me find out.
No, it's really dope. It's called Kicking with My Mama. Like, all my children, they all artists. So I don't know, whatever we put our mind to, we have an idea. We just do it.
Come on.
And even if it's parents and children that's not artists, like, whatever, they a part of us. They a reflection of us. So something about you, they have within them. So just find out what that is, and then maybe y'all can do a partnership. And if not, just identify what they good at and push that in. But I do love that we are on the same vibration and we do the same similar things, that we can work together. So yeah,
and do that. And it's the fun side, because of course we have shared a lot about the difficulties of parenting, but there is a fun side. I mean, it's also just like you get to relive being a kid with your kids. That's kind of fun too. Like, I've definitely seen my inner youth, come out. I also got to do a lot of stuff I didn't do as a kid with them, and I kind of kind of love it too. In my case, I love that I always have my little rollies. You know what I mean? So like when I want to go to a certain event, they gonna come with me.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like it makes it easier. And honestly, I mean, more fun is really what I want to say whenever I go anywhere. As long as they with me and we do talk about it, like you said, like afterward, like what did we like, what we didn't like, what else do we want to do together? Like I love that. I do love having those conversations, and I love what you said. Like that spark is always like there. It's always ignited.
It is. And my children are my bodyguards. Like I feel like
Hold on.
all our children are bodyguards. Like you know how they say when a baby cry, something not right. Like it just I see in my children like just certain places or people or places of things, they'll let me know. So they are your little bodyguard. So listen to them.
Right.
Okay. And you can learn a lot. Like I'll build my confidence just from my daughter. Like real talk. I gave her the confidence that I wanted from my mother, but then she, reciprocated that with, by where my insecurities at, and she helps me to, she just uplift me. So I don't know. I just love it.
Yeah, but there is a lot to gain, like I said, from this parenting relationship. Like it's not, or then from this parenting journey, because it's already a journey, like you said. You know what I mean? We already like developing things, but yes, there is a lot we can gain, and I'm definitely have always gonna stand with you on that one. You know what I mean? I feel like I have definitely gained so much from my children, and like there's a lot that I can credit them with, and I have told them, you know what I mean, like a lot of the things that they have helped me to learn, and that they're still helping me to learn, because obviously I still figure it out. I'm still sometimes getting wrong, like I told y'all. I wasn't very patient during the pandemic, so like growing process. But no, but even with that, like what I really learned was too that, like I said, my messaging is everything. And so I'm realizing like in order for something to be received, I need to work on how it is that I deliver it. But also I realized that they really are sponges, and I started noticing, like you said, even with energy, even lately, I'll notice like if I'm frustrated, I definitely feel like it carries an effect on all of them. Man, immediately they start arguing, I'm like, wow, we have that kind of power? Yeah. No. Yo, I didn't know it was that deep.
Yeah, energy don't die, it just transfers. So absolutely.
Come on now.
So be very intentional with that.
Yeah, you are not lying. And that's why I love that you're bringing that up, because like the energy thing is a big deal. You know what I mean? Because we all carry that. So like again, whether or not we feel like we're intuitives, like you said, or not, you still carry energy. You know what I mean? So it's still good to make sure that it's good energy that you put out, because I'm all about the output. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna influence the input, and like what you put out is all that. So like I agree. I definitely think it's something that at least to be aware of. You know what I mean? And to like be cognizant of like how you're doing that. But I do think it does create a new reality for you. So I love that. And this whole manifestation thing. So hold on, what we doing? Are we doing like, are you putting it out? Like you having vision boards? What we doing? Like how have you been with your
really
manifestation?
like vision boards.
So not that.
It really.
I know. I was like, let me just pick the corniest thing I could think of.
No, you cool, but we still do them, and they're still good to do. Writing things down, like your plans. Just like with me, I see ideas. Like it just be like a vision just come across my head, and I might not understand it at that moment. Nice. It's gonna manifest later. So a lot of times that happen. But just like that spark, like something that inspires me, and I'll just get to it. So that's how it manifests, and just knowing that what you put out there is what you're gonna receive. So just knowing what you want, learning what you want, and doing the work. Right. I'm a Capricorn, so I'm gonna keep saying that, doing the work.
Yes, but I hear you though. Shout out, and shout out to all any of the Capricorns that might be listening as well. You are seen, but definitely. But I do agree that the power of just writing things down though, like, and just making it more intentional and saying that. So like sometimes no, it doesn't. I actually brought that up on purpose, like the vision board situation, because like that's one. I mean, I feel like I've done like maybe one of those, right? But like there have been other things that I've done outside of that like it doesn't have to be that. Like it doesn't have to be as like that kind of activity. It can just be writing that down. You know what I mean? Or like, holding yourself accountable to yourself first, you know what I mean? And then amongst others, and like, and having people on your team that can help you to like make sure that those things, you know what I mean, come to reality. In your case, I mean, I also love that a lot of people on your team is really your kids, you know what I mean? They're a big part, you know what I mean, of making that, and they keep you, where you're at. Cause like you said, like, since you have the older, kids too, that I'm hearing about, you also, that's a lot of the population that you serve, or a lot of these older students and like all of that, who are also facing their different problems and, trying to figure out, living in their own realities, and then hopefully moving towards a more positive one. Yes. So like definitely. And you mentioned like that she also designed a flyer for an upcoming event. What is this upcoming event? Yes.
So this Saturday actually, we're gonna be at the Frederick Douglass Recreation Center. I do not know the exact address, but it is at the Frederick Douglass Recreation Center by the new John F. Kennedy High School off of Miles. We're having our Youth is Truth community kickback from 1 to 5. It's based on how we take the love out of violence, and we're going to talk about that in a panel that we're having at our event. We're going to have performances, but just even going back how it was initiated. I went into John F. Kennedy High School, and I had two purposes. I wanted to help them identify their superpowers, the tools that they have within, and then collectively, the second part was how they can bring it together and create an event off an issue in our community, which is Ward 1, to reduce. And they kept talking about fighting, murders, and just all type of low vibrational stuff, crime. And we wanted to create that event because the core, I wanted them to understand what was the core of that, or what they thought the core was. And they said, well, it's the way they think, or, the way they act. So I was like, all right, mental health. So it's really based around mental health. We're going to have mental health resources, activities like painting, Reiki, massages. It's going to be a lot of dope things to help an individual tap in so they can start loving themselves, so we can be that love in our community. Because you can't really love nobody else until you love yourself. And also we have resources to help individuals get out of survivor mode, because that's where a lot of the crime come from. Because when you're in survivor mode, that dog world, you don't really think about nobody else but yourself, and you got to do what you got to do, or you feel like you got to do whatever you got to do to get what you want. So we want to provide those opportunities for them to let them know that they don't have to do all that. It's things out here that can help them. So
come on.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. I love everything about that. Mm-hmm. But also, I especially love the stance on love. You know what I mean? Yes. Because I definitely feel like that y'all know y'all heard that from me. You know what I'm saying? So, of course, you see that's why I'm so glad we're always going to have guests on the show that also, you know what I mean, appreciate that. Mm-hmm. But the sad part is that we should have the world feeling that way, but we don't. We don't live in a world where people lead with love. They don't necessarily do that. And unfortunately, we don't have people that understand the value of just simply spreading it. Mm-hmm. And the fact that, it's not hard there's just so much more benefit you can gain from spreading love, you know what I mean? And leading with it first versus all the other things that we do. Or like some people claim, you know what I mean, to be moving with good intentions, but unfortunately they don't. And like a lot of our youth have also experienced that, and they haven't had a lot of people that actually have championed for them in the right way. Right. You know what I mean? Have actually seen the real issues that they're facing and then taking the time to create these positive outlets. So that's why I think it's just like amazing that like if it started off with you just noticing a need, you know what I'm saying, in the community, and now it's gonna be this like big old event. Come on now, like that's a huge kudos. All right,
it's definitely gonna be a big dope event. And I just like that the youth, like this is the things that they want. Like a lot of times we talk about, we say bad things or whatever about the youth, but a lot of them be wanting this. And I also wanted to say, hurt people. So
come on,
we got to heal. And that's really what Ashley B. Childhood Advocate is really, really about, to be honest with you. It's helping you to heal, get to your inner child, understand those wounds and that trauma that you carry on and process through that, so you are able to identify your superpowers. So we need some more healing. I know I'm in the community. We need more resources. No, we don't. We need more resources like therapists and individuals that's going to really help the children that they can resonate with, and that can identify that's actually been through the things that they've been through, to let them know, like, this is just for this time right now. You can get through this. So, yeah.
Come on. And I feel like, so speaking of challenging, and I feel like that's also something you mentioned a couple of times, like challenging stereotypes and assumptions that people have. Mm-hmm. So I feel like that's definitely another one of them, because I definitely feel like when it comes to the crime, like you mentioned, it is tied to a lot of survivorship. Like, so a lot of people having to just, make it. Like they're not living. This isn't living. This is just trying to, like make it to the next day. And like you said, absolutely survive, which is sad. It would be nice if, and then that's why, like, what I also think is great about what you're mentioning is that, so that whole purpose thing that we just discussed, if you are worrying about whether or not you're just going to live until the next day, you ain't about to be thinking about no purpose. Like, what's my purpose in life? And what am I here to do? That's not even going to be entering your mind. So like, we definitely had to start with those, root causes. Like, we mentioned, to be able to get to even be able to entertain those other thoughts, you know what I mean? And to even get that conversation. I'm sure you've seen that as well. Like,
no, absolutely. I was about to say something. But go ahead.
Oh yeah. So hopefully it'll come back. It'll come back because like when we get up in there, you know what I mean. But yeah, but I definitely do feel like no, that definitely that's why I love that this conversation is even happening, and that you're doing it and you're providing these efforts with the youth, especially ones in that situation. And I also feel like so when we do that thing where we automatically assume that those crime levels are because of certain things, or what I mean, or we count that society out. Because what I also love that you mentioned is that we will automatically assume though that they just want to be in these kind of situations, or like they want to stay down, they don't necessarily want better for themselves, like that some youth are lazy or that whatever. Yes, I do think that some of them are going to do whatever they can, but especially when they see that nobody cares about them, like when they're in an environment where they're not cared for, they don't feel protected, they don't feel secure. No, they don't. They're not going to rise to, there's nothing to rise to.
Right. And there's books written on this stuff. Like, okay, so I wanted to like one of the things I learned when I went to college, and that was something else we were talking about, like just knowing like this information isn't out here. Y'all, we know why things happen the way they happen. Like it's in sociology books, like white bias, curricular systems to keep certain children, beneath the economic status and whatnot. So let's not keep acting like we just don't know that this is already systematically designed. So I just want us to educate ourselves more and be able to teach them like, you don't have to be like this forever. So that was really my point, is let's just stop acting like we just don't know. Things are put in place. Come on. But do know that just because it's put in place don't mean it's gonna stop you forever. So
so that still doesn't have to limit you. But I do agree that like let's definitely acknowledge that it exists. And so I agree with you that there are a lot of people that operate like they don't know that. And so that's what's interesting to me. And even with like the in Florida, for example, and them like literally trying to ban books and like all those like systematic things that they're trying to do, or not ban critical race theory, things like that. Yes, this should be common knowledge like you mentioned, but there are people operating like it isn't, you know what I mean, and they're acting like these things aren't there, and they have an audience that buys into it. I mean, they're not doing it for no reason. I mean, there's clearly people that support them in that, and so it continues to go that way. But I'm glad when we have others that take stands against that, but also like you're actually doing something about it. So I feel like the big thing here too is that you're actually giving power back to the youth, you know what I'm saying, by having them with an event, because I'm sure they have been part of it. So like they've also been helpful with the planning and all that. Like
they planned everything.
Nice.
It's definitely been nice. Okay, but no, it's all their ideas. They're facilitating the panel. They're facilitating the performances. They decorating it. So it's their ideas. So I'm just that catalyst right there to help them bring it together. So I just want them to know that there are individuals out there, because I wish I had somebody like a Ashley B to, provide the way, or, teach me or let me know that what I'm thinking or what I'm feeling, it has truth to it. So yeah.
Absolutely. And I feel like what a beautiful thing to just be the liaison, essentially, is what I'm hearing. Like, they doing all that, y'all. Like, now that they have this platform, they're planning the event themselves, down to decorating it themselves, you know what I mean, and doing all this stuff, but you just get to, help be the connector in that. Like, and I just think, like, that's sometimes what we also don't realize. And I have seen, like you mentioned, in the traditional setting, there are staff members sometimes who don't realize that, and they bring their own personal issues and don't always know that, like, that's, not only is that not helpful, you know what I mean, and that, work needs to be done in that way, but students will thrive in a great environment. Like if we can foster that for them, and if we can provide that platform, but if it doesn't exist, it's gonna be hard for that to occur. Like,
that's definitely a fact.
Yeah. So like I'm thrilled, to hear that this is even happening, that they're there, and then and even if you're not able to make it out to this one, I also know that there are some people listening that are not local. So just so you know, John F. Kennedy is a public school here in Cleveland, and so like it is, it's definitely great that you were able to go in there. It's a larger population, though. It's definitely one of the larger schools. It's not necessarily a small one, by that. So like there's a lot of impact that's going to happen with this kind of event like this. There's a lot of youth that can be reached with all that. But even if you can't do that one, make it to some other one. Like there's so much value you can bring to other events, or help create one.
I'm about to say create one.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Make one up if you ain't got one. Right. Make
Glad
it happen.
You said it.
Yeah. Or definitely, and if there is one, definitely if you can assist. There's just so much, you can do by just being part of that team, or doing at least one piece, or being a part of one thing. And if you are asked to be on a panel or, share your expertise in that way, there's so much value in that. And like so much that, you know, youth can gain, but also any audience can gain from you sharing that knowledge. And don't doubt yourself that you can't do that. I actually had a friend who finally is getting asked to speak at an engagement for the first time, you know, and I was super excited that like, but I remember being excited to letting her know that like, yes, this is a great opportunity for you, but it's going to be the first of many, you know what I'm saying? This will become your new normal. It won't be shocking, you know what I'm saying? In the future, like this will just be what you do. But I feel like in order to do that, we have to get, you know, uncomfortable, like take risks, like do all these things. And like, I love that you mentioned that entrepreneurship is a struggle. We also don't need to paint the picture that it's just this easy thing to do, but there's a lot of reward though.
There's
like
definitely a lot of rewards.
Yeah, and you've gained a lot of achievements from it that not everybody can say they have.
And just even with the entrepreneur, I was just thinking like, it's really not the end goal. It's really the process. It's really you learning about yourself. So we all where we supposed to be at. It's all a journey. We all, you know, here to learn something. So don't focus too much on what's to come. Like just enjoy the journey, but learn what you're supposed to learn during that process. And even if you feel like you're in some type of low and you feel like you can't get out, just know everything happened for a reason. And just keep like, don't give up. Like that's one of the biggest advices, you know, I can share. I had to share with myself, learn myself is one, because I'm definitely goal oriented, is that because once I hit a goal, I don't care no more. I'm on to the next one. So that's how I learned, like, just enjoy the process and remember the wisdom, the good people that you meet along the way, and carry that on to the next journey. Because you're going to have many journeys and different cycles. But the most important is to learn and enjoy the process.
Ooh, that's a big one though, because like you said, right? I agree with that because it is like tempting though not to, right? Like if you are, and also like you said, if you're goal oriented, but also if you like achievement, which I don't know a lot of people that don't. Exactly. Like I mean, it's attractive. Like to be able to do that, it is quick for you to want to go, you know, go on to the next thing, and then like not only like to, you know, move quickly onto that next thing, but like in the process, you're kind of neglecting the one thing that you did achieve, and like one, you might not be giving yourself enough credit for like how great it was for you to even get that done. But also like, I don't think it's bad to want to revisit things either. You know what I mean? And like make that thing even better that you were able to do and like, you know, and really grow that. But like, if you're so quick to leave it and move on to the next project, like sometimes it's hard to do that. Like, cause I even have noticed that like, even with certain things I've done, if I've ever repeated it, like I've either gained something new from it the second time, you know what I mean? Or learned something new about it that it wouldn't have happened if I was so quick to like, you know, move on from it and like, you know, not give it that proper attention it needs. So like not being afraid to revisit things.
That's cool.
But yeah, but also like, you know, and you know, like you said, definitely honoring your process and celebrating, you know, like
I was going to say that, like celebrate your big and small wins. They all win. So, and give yourself some grace. I'm giving you the advice I've learned from myself. Like, give yourself grace. Again, enjoy the process. And just be happy with however things go. Like, because nothing happens or goes as planned. Just, you know.
Do that. And so speaking of that, do you got any other goals for the future, things that you would like to see, like, you know, lofty things or anything that's on that list?
Yeah, so I created a whole conglomerate. So we got the books. We got more books coming. One of the biggest things is having our own schools to really teach self-awareness. That's definitely coming. It just takes time. And love. Like the goal is I just want people to start loving themselves so we can love one another. Just love yourself so we can all love each other and heal first. So healing, love, the school. Yeah, that's about it. That's all I can think
which
of.
is but I'm gonna say no small thing.
It's some other things on there, but I'm very practical. But just the biggest thing is just love and believing in yourself.
Yes. And for those who are hearing it, because like I love seeing it, you know, since I am sitting across from you, but even those who are hearing it, every time you say the word love, the way that you're, you know, the smile that comes across your face, you know what I mean, as you say it, like it's hard. I mean, I guess you could say the word love angrily. I don't know. That would be weird. Like love. Like why would you say it mad? It's kind of hard to put those two things together. It should be something that makes you happy, like, you know, and like doing that. And like, and how are you, I think it's just a great question to ask ourselves. Like, so how are you cultivating love? You know what I mean? First of all, have you you experienced it lately? You know, have you been at all in its presence, but also like, how are you growing it and like spreading it? You know, because it should be something not that you also just hold for yourself. That's also what's weird about love. It shouldn't be something that you're like greedy for and like, I'm just keep all the love for myself. That sounds, you know, doesn't sound like the best thing you should do. You should definitely share that with other people. But like, you know, how can you do that? Like, have you been in spaces where you have been? And if you feel like it's been a long time, or like you've been in a lot of angry spaces where you have not felt love, you know what I mean, and felt that happiness, what can we do to change that? You know, because you shouldn't, and it's going to be hard for you to be able to spread that on to other people if you're not creating an environment where there is love, you know, that's present. How do you keep love in your own life?
Love, it depends on how you define love, because to me it's an energy. Love to me is just really being your most authentic self, your most free self. Like, when you that way, you don't really care what nobody think. And I'm still working on that. I'm just going to be honest with you. But it's just really being you. That's where I want all of us, no matter who you are, learn self, have self-awareness, learn your likes and dislikes, your triggers, so it don't hit you or unexpectedly. So love to me is just, again, being authentic and not, can we cuss on here? Just not giving a fuck. It is right there. Not giving, like, just not caring what nobody think of you. Long as what you think of yourself is most important.
Absolutely.
So
it is though.
That's what love
definitely. Yeah, and it's the best life to live as long as it's a real life, a true life to yourself. You know, and being able to do that. So no, I totally agree. And so with all that, I didn't even. You know, I'm just curious if folks want to be able to like connect with you, you know what I mean, learn more about what you got going on or any of those things. How can they do that?
Yes, so you can follow me on Instagram at AshleyB_childhood advocate. That's my youth advocacy page where I share resources right here in Cleveland, Ohio, where I host my events, where I share the information on my events and just knowledge to help individuals tap into themselves. You can connect with me on my email at ashleybchildhoodadvocate@gmail.com. I do birth charts for free. I interpret them. I'm learning astrology to be better at it. So to help with, again, self-awareness. I do tarot and oracle. So if you're ever interested in that, you definitely can email me on that. And you can just catch me in the hood. Like, you'll see me in the hood in Cleveland, Ohio. So when you see me, just say hi and share that love. Because just know what you give is what you get.
Absolutely. And yeah, we didn't get a chance to get on the birth charts because I already know that could be its own separate show. So, you know, y'all just gonna tap in with her. You know what I'm saying? If you want that, like, I know that it could be its own separate thing, but I appreciate it that like there's all these things. And I just wanted to say shout out to the resources because I have been following Miss Ma'am, and yes, there are resources like on the daily. Okay, you're gonna find out about programs and all that. So yes, you definitely stay true to that, and I think it's, you know, invaluable, like all of the things that you share and all those things. So tap in, y'all. You know what I mean? Like, definitely do that for any of those reasons, just to connect, to learn more, to do whatever, and to grow with each other, you know, in that. So
for sure.
Oh yeah, so thank you so very much.
Yes.
Yeah,
thank you.
Oh yes, thank you so much. And thank y'all as always, you know, for your support, for tuning in, and come back every other Friday because we're gonna do it again, bring you some more guests and have some more great conversations. Thank you.